So last one in this identity filter list is URI identity. This one allows you to pull out information out of the URI and set that for XPP user. One common use case here is with a lot of our OpenStack APIs, there's the tenant ID inside of the URI, and so they've set up regexes to be able to pull out that tenant ID and then be able to use that for rate limiting. And XPP group, you can define in the config file the actual value you want to set XPP group to. You add it to your system model as URI-identity. And here is an example of a URI identity config file. You can specify multiple regexes that match. The very first one that does match is the one that gets used. Whatever is defined in the capture group is the value that gets set as XPP user. And then if you look at the what's in red.
If you have multiple capture groups?
That's a good question. I don't know. We can look to see if we have an actual test for that, because that is a really good question. So
if we're rate limiting somebody, then it's a way for us to identify that person.
So rate limiting uses two key headers, XPP user, XPP groups. These four filters are a way to populate those headers. All four of these identity filters, their sole responsibility is how do you want to populate these two headers, which are used in rate limiting.
And then the rate limiting, I think we're covering that next Tuesday.
I kind of heard the rate limiting. I'm just still trying to understand.
This identifies that so if you've sent 20 requests, all of them are going to come through here and pull out those same things, so that we know those 20 requests are from you and 10 of them weren't from him, so that we can be limiting both you to the appropriate number and not counting his requests against you.
Oh, so
It lets us know that it's you, and we can say, okay, you've hit your 50, but you can keep going.
And client doesn't know client doesn't set the XPP user or XPP groups directly. He sets we use these filters to set it for him.
Yeah, we figure it out. We figure out who he is, whether he wants us to or not. Make it a little sinister there. So that brings up an interesting question, though. What happens if they try to pass in XPP user and XPP group?
So when we're recommending a list of filters, and I don't have the complete list here, you really should have a content normalization at the beginning of your list, which strips, which blacklists those headers that you shouldn't be sending in, like authorization headers, authentication headers, and Repose specific headers. That might be something good for a filter use case slide. So this example is showing the URI identity. We're pulling out of here based on this config here. We're going to pull out a capture group after notes, whatever is there before the next slash. And so in this example, Jane Racker is trying to do a get of notes.foo/notes/abc123, which in this case we'll say is her account number, /note/biology 101. She wants her biology 101 note. So the URI filter is going to match on that ABC123, and it will pull that out and assign that to XPP user. And then XPP group, it's going to set to user_standard because that's what we defined back here inside of this config file. And then based on that, with rate limiting configured to look for that specific group, it'll know that the user defined by ABC123 has or has not met their limits, and in this case has not, so it forwards on the request to the origin service. And that is it for identity filters.
URI identity URI identity was the first one you mentioned, capture group?
Yes, the other ones don't use capture groups. So
Projects.
in a regular expression, it's saying that I'm going to match on something, and in this case, this regular expression is looking to match on the URI that's being passed in as the request. And when I find something that matches /w star, which is preceded by /note/ and is before preceded by and itself is before another /dot*, which means anything else. Everything that's within /note/ and that next slash is going to be captured, and that way I can pull out that value and use that somewhere else. In the case of this URI identity filter, I'm using it. I'm capturing it to use it as the value of that XPP user. Any other questions? All right, that's it.